turn up the volume. You're listening to eryo5 Radio. Hello, everybody. Welcome to eryo5 Radio. We are here with Moss 85. We have Nikki.
Hi.
Nikki Moss, if you will. And Brian Rohr, my brother.
Hello.
And I'm Eric, as everybody knows, because of the famousness that the show has brought to me.
The notoriety.
The fame. Yeah. So today is...
And who else do you have on the line?
And we have... Oh, yeah, he's not here. There's a certain guy named Brian Rafferty. I don't know him that well.
The moderator doesn't know
Really?
who he's moderating.
Gosh.
Sorry. Well, since I don't know Brian Rafferty that well, when he's not in front of my eyes, I forget he's there.
He just disappears.
Sorry about that. Say hello, Brian.
Hello.
Now, do you want me to call you something else other than Brian? I mean, that's kind of lame.
Brian.
You could call me, I guess, either B or B-Raf.
I'm B.
B-Raf.
You'd be Raf.
That's right.
I will be B-Raf.
So you're B-Raf, or B-Otter.
Oh, yeah, you could call me that as well.
And that's B. That's Bar the Star.
That's not my name. My name's...
And I'm E. Well, we covered this in the nicknames episode a few months ago.
Oh, that's right.
It evolved to, now it's simply the Star. Well, just Bar is what I like.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone's coming from pretty far away today. I am coming from right here. B-Raf is in... Where are you?
I am in Peoria, Illinois.
That's pretty good. I thought you were there, but I didn't want to assume. And you're coming from Normal, Illinois, which is maybe a little closer or farther? About the same.
Basically, distance-wise, probably about the same, but you have to go to Normal and then up from Peoria. So.
And I think Nikki's coming from Plainfield.
Yeah.
Is that the town?
Plainfield, Joliet area.
Down outside of the main metropolis.
That's right.
All right, so what are we going to start with? How long... Well, okay. I think Brian Rafferty B-Raf has to get going fairly soon, so we don't want to keep him on too long, but we have some introing to do. Brian, Nikki, have we had you on the show before? B-Raf? Have you?
No.
No, okay, he hasn't. Brian, you've been on the show for the nicknames episode.
I Skyped in.
Brian Skyped in. He hasn't been here in person yet. It's just a totally different experience.
The idea was the TV was going to be there with my face on it. But.
Oh, yeah. Well, B-Raf sounds unnatural to me. Other Brian, we didn't know we were going to have you on until very recently, so we might have tried to put your face on a TV sitting next to this, Brian. But we barely got you on Skype at the last minute. My password
Nikki
wasn't
can pull
working.
up a picture of him on her iPhone.
I could.
Like a live picture?
Go on the Facebook, the Twitter.
That's right. Actually, I'm friends with B-Raf on Twitter, but he's not friends with me. So...
How is that possible?
Because I like to spy in on his life and...
Does he have to approve of this?
No.
Okay.
Anyway.
How do you feel about this, B-Raf?
I feel like my personal bubble is being invaded.
Well put. So, Nikki, I know there are changes in everyone's life. Brian and I were trying to figure out if you're matronly. I can't even say it without laughing.
Oh, my God.
Apparently, you're either matronly or motherly, or both. Please choose.
What is... Okay, I'm going to go with motherly, I guess.
Explain.
I am a mom.
Oh, good for
you. I know. I had my baby about 5 months ago.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you. Fairly new mommy. So.
New mommy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, you have barely been married for very long. You didn't have your alone time.
Yeah, I know.
That's what happens when you get married, as I also noticed.
It was not the ideal situation, but it's a great situation now.
Absolutely. Speaking of the intro stuff, I hear there's a Moss 85 documentary coming out soon. Do you know about that?
I do not know about that. Does it have my approval? It should have my approval before it comes out, right?
Well, we're
Well,
going
you
to
signed off on all this from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
we're going to figure
I
out
remember that document.
by the end of this show who is officially a part of Moss 85, because apparently it's a lot more people than I knew. I figure if Brian
There's a
here,
lot of little limbs and branches there.
if he approves
going.
something, then it's going to happen.
That's true.
That's the ultimate.
He is the founder and father, so he gets all the say-so. I only get a few years or so.
But I had on my Hi8 camera some footage from Pipe Down, and I spent a lot of time this summer with Chris transferring it to digital format, so now it's just a matter of editing it together, which Brian and I plan to do this winter with 2 computers in a room.
Side by side.
Side
It'll
by-
be amazing.
Side by side, in a room, editing the Moss 85 documentary. It's
I think I have showdown footage, but I don't have anything to watch it on. I just have tapes. So
Well,
I'm
it's-
not positive of that.
still trying to figure out if this is going to be the rise and fall of Moss 85 or the making of Pipe Down.
Yeah. We'll see how. I think I have like maybe 10 minutes. Do you remember Nate Trid hitting his hand on the cymbal and
Yes.
that whole thing?
Yeah.
With the arms and
Yep.
the waving.
Looked like a raptor? Yes, I do remember.
So that was from that footage. I don't know if there's much more than that. or
I
not.
have footage from the,
No, we have some shows.
There's got to be
DVDs
show
and
footage.
things.
I remember
Yeah.
I have a couple. Still.
something from the Double R Party.
You must have Bartlett Battle of the Bands.
Probably.
Ooh, that's a
something else.
good one.
Yeah, I think
Clear,
I don't know.
Clearwater. Did we ever-
Clearwater. We did have a
did we ever
Clearwater.
have video of that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go look.
I almost moved to Clearwater Avenue, but then I chose another one.
Normal. Clearwater Avenue. Yeah. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Sorry.
But I want to say for my birthday, my 30th birthday, which I just had, I've beat all you on the cool birthday so far. 25. That's pretty good. But one of the things I got was a new headphone cable for this. The other one was starting to go bad right here. But one story I have about that cable was we were at my parents' house in the eryo5 studio doing some, working on Pipe Down or something. I was spinning in my swirly chair, and the headphone cable got wrapped around the middle and just pulled and pulled until it pulled straight apart. And I did a really good job of soldering it back together and taping it up. And actually, that part has been just fine for the last 7 years, but it was
Not
pulled
to
apart.
toot his own horn or anything.
Yeah, But anyway, I got a new
Somebody
cable.
must have done a really good job
That's right.
pushing that up. I don't know who.
But other parts started going bad, and I got a new cable. So, Moss 85, where did the name come from? I mean, obviously,
We've been through this
Obviously-
in previous radio shows.
Moss...
This is where we edit
Oh, okay.
the footage from the last time we talked about it.
That's right. That's part of the nicknames. But you have to start out with where the name came from. So, obviously, your last name.
No.
Oh?
That's not where it came from, even though that's what Brian would want you to think.
I was born in 1985.
That's right. And then we would have just kept it like that. Because, I don't know. Apparently I was the most popular member, and if I wasn't in the band,
Obviously.
Right.
Apparently.
Apparently. I don't know. No. I don't know. You know what? You'd have to ask Brian about where this name came from.
On the topic of Moss, do you still go by Nikki Moss?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I stopped using that maybe in 2007-ish.
You were not married yet, though.
That's right. That's right.
So, you just went by Nikki?
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Like a Beyonce thing.
Ah.
Just Nikki. I'm joking, really.
Okay.
Nikki Fierce.
So, where did the name come
Yeah,
from?
seriously. Come on, explain.
BRAF is getting more and more muffled sounding. This must be Skype's fault. Say something quick, BRAF. Just to satisfy my curiosity.
I'm
He's fine.
still here.
See?
And am I still sound bad on here?
You sound as good as you ever did.
It's good. Anyway,
Maybe it's me then.
Yeah, I think he sounds okay.
Let's see. Mother used to watch Friends a lot. The TV show Friends. NBC. Thursday nights. And it was always on, and there was a character...
He just realized how funny that is.
Were you just doing a plug for Friends?
8 p.m.
so good.
On TBS, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday.
There was a character named Pete. I don't remember her last name.
Monica's boyfriend.
Who, she knows, who had a company or a computer software program or something he invented called MOS 865 that may have been spelled MOS and was definitely 865. And I misheard that or misremembered that as the word MOS and then 85. And I just thought it sounded like a cool number band name because that was in at the time.
Yeah.
The Blink 184s and the Green Day 375s.
That's an inside joke. A Sum 41 inside joke.
MOS 85 originally started out with just you, if I remember correctly, right? Like, that was the name of, like, a project that you were working on. And I remember because I have demo tapes of your synthesizer stuff. Or not synthesizer, but what do they call
Sequencer
it?
CD?
Sequencer. Yes. Not
That would have been a lot later, probably. My solo ventures.
Right.
But I don't think there was anything before Nick Carbonero. Name dropping came into the picture.
Why isn't he here?
If we had every member of MOS 85 come into this house, it would be ridiculous.
Well, I think he was the co-founder. I don't think there was much of an idea for a band, or I don't think I was seeking out people necessarily. But we met in the badminton unit of 8th grade gym class at Jane Addams Junior High School.
Plug.
300 East Springs, Good Road. Let's see. I don't know. I met him during the badminton unit. We were partners. And he figured out he played guitar, and I kind of played guitar, and then we liked kind of the same kind of music. He was a little more into the Nirvana thing than I was. He was one of those, much like the iPhone people among us right now. Those other types. And then...
So there's the two.
And then we started playing guitar together, and I guess, I don't know when we decided to write songs or how that came about, but and then we tried to find other people, which was very difficult. And I think the next person was Brian Rafferty, whom we may have just lost.
Brian, are you there? I think we'll lost him. We'll try to get him back.
That was right on cue.
Really
So Brian Rafferty was before. There was a singer named Julio.
What?
Incorrect.
No.
Julian.
Julian.
Did you have them both written there? Try one if that didn't get the right reaction. Oh.
I only wrote Julio.
Julian was much later.
Oh, much later.
Well, later.
When we were trying to get this together, I immediately thought of the three of us because that's when I was there. But I don't.
We were
know
the
too
power
much.
Trio.
That's right. We were.
Well, let's while we wait for that or whatever it is, let's talk a little about BRAF. This is when he can't hear us,
Right,
so just
so
say
we're
whatever.
safe. How did BRAF come into the picture?
So you had two guitarists
Right.
and a vocalist.
Well, for a while, Nick was the bassist, though, wasn't he?
Yes.
Ah,
I don't know
okay.
if that. I don't know. If that
No,
happened, but-
no.
Well, he was.
I don't
That
know.
was the idea. That might have been before we found Brian Rafferty, because they knew each other, Schaumburg High School people, and then he was a bassist, I guess, Brian Rafferty, and then Nick always liked guitar better, so wanted. Nick always, I guess, wanted to play guitar, so maybe I kind of made him play bass, and then he found another bassist, so he was able to play guitar again, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I had my headphones off. So, recap. So you play guitar.
I've been talking for a while. We need to hear Nick.
So I don't know anything about this part of the story, but I just so
I just said it.
yeah.
You know
All
all the
right.
details
So
now.
here's the recap. Brian, and Nick, and then they brought in Brian Rafferty to play bass. Right.
Sounds
Recap.
about right.
Wasn't you said Nick was playing bass?
Right, but then he found
Maybe.
another.
Left and right.
Yeah,
We're a little unsure.
we don't remember.
Okay.
I do remember, though, that before we got anybody, Nick and I were, like, wandering around my neighborhood trying to find, like, space to rent or they kind of toying.
Hello? That sounded deaf.
Oh, phone call.
We have a call coming.
I always like that too.
Are you back?
I am back.
Oh, good, because we were just going to start talking about you.
The last thing I said, or the next words out of my mouth, when we heard the disconnect sound, was Brian Rafferty.
And then you
my sentence,
disconnected.
So you came on, Brian Rafferty, to play bass or something else?
I played the bass guitar.
Bass guitar.
We're trying to figure out what Nick was doing before that. Was he playing bass before, and then he found you so he didn't have to play bass anymore? I don't know if you would have known any of that. Because at some point, he was supposed to be the bassist.
But Brian Rafferty, when you came on, there were three of you? Brian Rafferty, Brian Rohr, and Nick Carbonaro?
Hello?
Is he gone? Success.
Well,
All right,
so anyway,
moving on.
who came next?
Well,
You had... Okay, you were trying to find
I
space
remember
to rent.
we were 12 and trying to find an apartment to rent or something.
So this was...
But there was the butternut bread or whatever place, the bread store, like right at the end of the street.
What year was this?
He was 12.
This was 98
So,
or 9,
Wow.
13, 14. And that place was open, and we were thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to have that as our practice space, and we could have all this room and stuff.
Yeah.
That was just the two of us. And then we found Brian Rafferty, and then he played bass with us. And I think we wrote some of those classic songs that are in our partial reunion run through.
Oh, yeah.
With just the three of us. Then
Did you have a drummer?
I don't remember. Was Troy after you, or was he around before you?
no, he was around before me, and then I want to say that he was
At some point, it was me, Nick, Brian Rafferty, and Troy, I think. So that must have been before you.
it was before me, and then all of a sudden Troy just stopped, and then he came
kinda-
back. So
he
I
was
don't
flaky.
know. Okay. So anyway.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, you sound better now.
Ooh.
That's...
If I get disconnected again, I think that might be the end of it.
All right.
Okay, let's get the good stuff out then. Let's go.
Start talking.
I played the bass guitar.
That's good.
That's pretty good. I think I was the third band member because
That's
Brian
consistent
started
with Brian's
and Nick
story.
came in, and then
together.
I believe I was next. Was there anybody before me?
Nope. I don't think so.
Did you guys probably already go over all of this?
Yeah, but keep going. This is good.
Oh,
good
good
stuff.
stuff.
Good stuff. Actually, when I met Nick before I met Brian, and Nick and I went to Schaumburg High School, and we had another friend named Rick Litz, and basically Rick gave me Nick's AOL Instant Messenger screen name, and he said to talk to Nick about meeting him and everything. So I sent, the day before classes started, probably sophomore year, I sent Nick an instant message on AOL, and he told me his locker number and was...
Oh, yeah. I heard this recently.
Yeah, and he was, gave precise instructions to meet me at his locker, and which I agreed to. Thing was, I knew who Nick was and what he looked like and stuff. So the next day, when I was going down the stairs on the basement floor of Schaumburg High School, headed towards his locker, I saw him also on his way to his locker. So I said, "Hey, Nick." And he stopped and turned around, and he must have known who I was too, because he looked at me and said in a very upset manner, "I thought I told you to meet me at my locker." And I was very, very frightened of Nick after that, but then later learned that he was quite the goofball. But that's my story on Nick Carbonaro.
Nick Carbonaro. Yeah, we heard that recently.
That's true.
Brian,
Where's that here when you talk?
yeah, Brian and I were all sitting on this couch the same day on 4th of July, I think, when we recorded some practices just for fun up there, and Brian told that story, and we were talking about the idea of doing this show. Rick Litz, so remind me, is that the person who I bought my drum set from?
I think it was.
I think so.
I don't know if Brian would know that. Or not.
I'm gonna say yes, because that's what I was told many years ago.
We have consistency. We don't have a real confident memory, but we have consistency. I'm comfortable with saying Rick Litz was who it came from.
Brian Rafferty,
Yes.
who joined the band after you? Was it
After me,
was it Troy?
I believe. No, I believe it wasn't it Julian next.
So Julian came next as your vocalist.
There was like one day where I don't know if it was Mike Del Principe or one of those guys that I didn't know at all at the time. So now that I kind of know who they are, I don't remember because I didn't know them then. The first day I met them, there was like a day where we had him, and I don't know if there were any other drummers or anything we tried out, but that was kind of all around the same time. It seems
there was another drummer, and I just remember he was like really, really, really bad. Do you remember that at all?
Where was it at? In like my basement?
Yes, yes.
I maybe remember somebody. I don't have any idea who it would have been. There have been a couple people we've like had in for like one day, and then they're gone, and I don't really know anybody. I wouldn't have known any of them.
So who was the drummer that stuck?
We don't know when Troy came on, but he would have been the one at some point.
Troy was
At
the one?
some point, Troy was the...
And Julian was in there around that same time. But Julian and Nick were never in it, never in it together, right? Because Nick left because we didn't have a singer, and then 2 days later we got Julian.
Nick was getting very tiresome of playing just instrumentals and was very gung-ho about getting a vocalist and actually having a band, and we didn't know any singers. And then I don't even know how it happened, but somehow Julian came along, and at that point Nick had already left the band.
Wasn't it like the same week or something?
Yeah, I want to say I remember going to practices with you guys, and I want to say that's correct.
You would have been around.
Yeah, I was around.
Probably for some of this.
I was around for some of it, and I remember it was Nick was in the band, and then Nick left, and then Julian.
Was Troy and Nick in the band? And then we got Julian and had like a full band?
No, I don't.
I think Troy was later.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. I don't remember.
Because we had all those demos with the drum machine. We hardly made... I don't think Moss 85 pre-Nicky made any recordings with any real drummers.
A real drummer, yeah.
So Troy must have been pretty late.
So it was drum machine?
Or just really brief.
Drum machine
QI70.
Troy.
You have that, by the way.
Machine.
Yes, you did. The QI70, the sequencer?
I probably still do, yes.
Probably doesn't work at all, because it barely did 8 years ago.
But
so the Moss 85 name existed before even Nick Carbonaro came around? Or around that time?
It was probably during Nick.
Right around that time. Well, and then... So there was Troy, and Troy was your drummer. It was you and... how did Nicky come? Troy was pre-Nicky.
Yeah.
There's Troy and Julian and Brian and Nick and Brian Rafferty. That's 5 people.
I don't think we ever had everybody together at the same time. I don't think we had Julian and Troy at the same time.
It was a theoretical enterprise.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree. I think that we did have Julian and Troy around at the same time.
It would have been really brief though, wasn't it? Because we did a lot of recordings with Julian, and those were all with Sequencer.
That's true.
Did I do those recordings? Like I recorded them?
Yeah.
I have those, and I'm very familiar with them.
I clearly remember I don't... You remember that?
Yeah.
Getting cut off at the end of the...
Wait, I remember that too. Okay.
Maybe we can edit that into the YouTube video. And then, how did... why isn't Julian still part of the band?
To this day?
Is it because of the band, or because of Julian wanting to leave?
I don't remember anything about Julian leaving. Brian?
I thought it was kind of mutual.
Because I seem to remember everyone making fun of Julian. And saying he wasn't a good singer.
All I remember is he would always kind of sing the same melody, but he would like start on either the root, the third, or the fifth, and it was different every time. Depending on how loud we were being, he would start on a higher pitch, and then kind of sing the same melody, but just like up a third.
That happens. Actually, Aaron wanted me to record him doing something recently, and with the computer. I said, you can sing along with this recording, but you won't be able to hear yourself. And he sang the whole thing like a fourth higher than it was supposed to be. So that does happen.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember. And I remember telling him that, like, not trying to make fun of him, but, you know, saying, you're doing this. Are you aware of this?
He was one of those guys with a high voice.
Yeah, like your typical emo, screamo. Yeah, that
he wasn't screamo. He was a mild-mannered emo kid.
Yeah.
Is screamo music supposed to be...
emo kids screaming their lungs out.
So when we say emo, does that mean they're over-emotional?
I think it's more of a scene term now.
Well, now
correct,
it is.
Brian Rafferty?
How did the original, I think.
I would not know that.
You don't lie, Brian Rafferty. Don't lie.
How did the word originate?
Yeah. I don't know. But that's, if you think of that type of singer, that's how Julian used to be.
Yeah. And then I'm picturing Nikki coming on soon afterward.
Julian must have left at some point, and we didn't have Nick anymore, and Troy must have been gone, because who knows what happened with that.
I remember there was some kind of fallout, actually.
Go on.
Julian, or?
No, with the band. And it actually... I came into the picture because me and Brian Rafferty were pretty good friends, shall we say?
Yes.
And
We shall.
What?
We shall.
We shall. And I'd always go to practices and stuff, and I was actually in a singing group.
Fantasy.
Yes,
Fantasy.
Yes.
I recorded Fantasy
Yes.
too.
Well, the reason you recorded Fantasy was because I would always come over and watch practices, and then they would show me recordings and stuff, and I'm like, this is awesome. Fantasy should come record here, and so that is how I met you.
Yeah.
But what started out as Moss 85 with all the guys turned into me going over to your house and recording with you, and then thinking about writing songs for Fantasy originally. I thought, I really need some new material for Fantasy. And so at the time, everybody thought that Brian Rohr was some kind of genius when it came to writing songs. And I'm like, hey, I should hang out with Brian Rohr. And then I said, can you help me write a song for Fantasy? And we ended up writing Excuses.
Is that the first?
That's the first. And we were going to use it as an Fantasy song. I was going to use it as an Fantasy song. And when this all happened, we realized we had a really good thing going. And Brian Rafferty was not happy that I was going over to the Rohr residence without Brian Rafferty being present. And so therefore, big fallout happened with me and Brian Rafferty. I was fully expecting never to speak to him again. And Brian Rafferty told Brian Rohr that that's it. No more Moss 85, blah, blah, blah. And you guys kind of broke it off, if I remember correctly.
I was an angry young man.
Yes, you were.
I don't remember any kind of Brian telling me off or anything like that.
No, it wasn't like... but, you know, it was kind of...
I know he's not a super confrontational type or anything.
Right,
come over
right.
and
No.
take a swing at me.
That's not what I meant.
I just don't remember really what happened.
And all I remember is then that made Brian Rafferty out of the band and left Brian Rohr with no band.
Nobody else.
Nope, everybody left him. So now that we worked on a song together, I thought, this is pretty good. We got a good thing going. We should be a band, and that's how...
No, we should be the band.
The band.
The band. Keeping the name.
That's right.
I remember recording Fantasy. I think of that as your old singing group, but at the time it was just for, young ladies. I didn't know Nikki from anyone else.
Yeah. What are you doing
Is everything okay over there?
Transpiring. In the Elefanto Blanco, what was it?
Yes. Blanco Elefante.
Blanco Elefante.
The
that's
white elephant?
That's his apartment name.
Oh.
Oh.
Yep. Well, we'll get into that later if necessary. We're going to be wrapping up the first segment here. Is this going to be the end of BRAF? Is there anything else that you want to add?
I just want to add real quick. I think the reason why I left the band originally is because at the time I wanted to play a very specific type of music and didn't really have wasn't really interested in playing anything but that style of music, and I was obsessed
What style
with
was
the new
that?
stuff. Oh, I don't even remember.
Emo.
Emo.
Start
You want?
with an
Do you want to bring up your project called Singularity?
Oh, I
we
wrote a
save this for one more
19-minute song, broke up into
We're gonna have to-
six. Oh, okay.
We're going to have to talk about this in the next segment if you wish to, because we are wrapping up segment number 1 here on eryo5 Radio.